Welcome back, horror fans, to the Weekend Horror Podcast. This week we're covering select horror films released November 29th through December 5th. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Eugene, and with me always is Alex and JL.
What's happening?
Hey, everybody.
So, we were talking about a live show update, right?
Yes. So, we have plans to take the show live. So, we think... Tentatively, we're not going to set this in stone. We think tentatively we're going to kick off December with a live show. So we may or may not be able to get it out. We haven't decided. So we're either going to go live on Wednesday the 2nd of December, or it might be a week after that. I'm not 100% sure. Still nailing a couple things down. But we're hoping to do it at least either kick off December or in September. We will be taking the show live. We're going to do it. We're just going to fuck it, do it live, like Bill O'Reilly.
Fuck
it. So we had such an excellent response to our season finale. And we did that live as the first time. I think we got all the kinks out. We're more familiar with the process of doing a live show. I think it'll work really, really well. And it'll be fun. We'll get to interact with everybody. And we'll get to, see our listeners and, maybe do a giveaway or two or something. I don't know. Maybe do trivia. I don't know. I just want to play it by ear. But it'll be really cool to see everybody listening at the same time. We'll see what kind of, we'll see if any of our horror fans want to jump over there and join us. But it'll be on the Week in Horror YouTube channel. We will do that live, and hopefully we'll see everybody there when we go on. If you're subscribed to us, you'll get the notification.
And see, what would be awesome is, because I know we talk about like our call to actions and questions we ask. It would be cool, like in the middle of an episode, people actually responding. We can go back and go, oh yeah, that is the best John Carpenter film, or the best kill, or something like that. So it would be awesome sitting there interacting with everybody.
Yes, that would be very cool.
We want to talk to you.
Talk to us, because we only talk to each other. And Alex's bird.
She wants in tonight, guys.
So,
but I think,
Bird, go ahead and take it off.
Beep.
I think that'll be a lot of fun. So okay. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm a little nervous, but I am looking forward to it. But we've been doing this long enough. I think it's time that we take the next step and really, really put something out there that people can enjoy. And then, of course, we'll just, everybody who listens only on Sundays, we will take the audio off of the live podcast and we'll trim it up, make it nice and clean. Then we'll go and throw it on Sundays as normal. So that will remain the same. It's just, instead of on Wednesday nights recording the actual show that you get on Sundays, we'll just take it live on YouTube. We'll talk about the upcoming week, and then of course we'll just drop it on Sunday. But I think this will be fun.
It's
cool.
Going to be really fun. And for those of you who you can't make it to the actual live show, it will still be up on YouTube, so you can always come in and watch afterwards.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun
if you want to.
I'd also like to announce that we have a new shirt on our Teespring, and it is a limited edition shirt. Ooh. I had to make this bad boy limited edition. This was really, really cool. So I got together with Johnny O from over at the Plot Hole, and Johnny put me in touch with his artist, the artist that does all of the poster work for the Plot Hole. He's a really, really, really talented guy named Joshua Olson. He kicked ass. And I just kind of gave him a rudimentary idea of what I wanted, or I gave him a couple of ideas. He went with I think he went with what he thought was the best one, and created a badass limited edition shirt that we have dropped in price down to the bare minimum on our Teespring. So normally Teespring, t-shirts there can run anywhere between $22 and $25. This one is the bare minimum. It's only $14.99. It's literally I think it's just a hair above the retail cost of it. So, and because I want to get some of them out there because they're so cool, and I wanted to share them. I wanted to make them available, and I just can't deny they're freaking amazing. So, definitely check out our Teespring store, Week in Horror, and you can check out. We also have the official season 1 art shirt. We have the season 2 art shirt, and of course this limited edition one, which features zombified me. which I think is pretty cool. Awesome. So I don't want to spoil too much, but the artwork is amazing. Alex is in perfect form. I think you guys will totally dig it. So definitely check that out. Teespring.com/weekinhorror.
Yeah,
I think it's Teespring. Teespring.com/stores/weekinhorror is what it is. But yeah, the links will be in the description. But that'll be cool. I hope some people get those for Christmas. That'll be really, really neat.
That's, you know what? Thanksgiving, we're recording this on Wednesday. Thanksgiving's tomorrow. If you're thankful for us, maybe think about going and grabbing one. We're thankful for you guys.
Absolutely. They'll make great gifts. They are fun. And like I said, it helps support us. The shirts are awesome. I know I'm giving them away as Christmas presents, whether people want it or not. They're getting it anyway. So definitely go ahead and pick up one.
You know, that's something to be said. Alex just brought it up, and it's a really, really good point. That tomorrow, we're recording this on Wednesday. This is the 25th, and tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So I know that I'll be spending it. I and Angela will be spending it with our friends. I know, Alex, you got like the whole brood in the house, don't you?
A couple, but yeah.
So, are you going somewhere for Thanksgiving tomorrow, or
no? We're sticking around here. Actually, like even my parents went up to my sister's. It's a weird Thanksgiving. Because our kids went with their other parents this year. We switch off years, and so we're like kidless. But I don't know. This is gonna be a weird one. So we'll definitely.
Is it just you and the wife?
Yeah, I think we're just gonna be around for most of the afternoon tomorrow. And then I actually got to go work.
Gonna get freaky on Thanksgiving.
Let me show you what I'm thankful for.
I'm gonna mash your potatoes.
We get to say hi to everybody, and then everybody goes everywhere else. And it's it's cool though, because like we had the wedding, we had the honeymoon. We haven't had a minute to sit down and just be thankful for everything. And so it'll be good to kind of be quiet after
awesome.
Tonight.
And Eugene, what do you got going on?
So I'm actually going over to a good friend's place. I'm basically like family to them. So he's having a big family get together, and I head over there and watch the Cowboys. Hopefully they win. Watch the Cowboys game and eat good food.
The Cowboys-Vikings game.
Yeah, that I forgot. We'll save that for another. We'll save that for offline.
Okay, but just so you know, I ended up having to plug the show because afterwards, I had a bet with a friend of mine, and we did we had like the chip challenge, the one chip challenge. But then
those Pocky chips.
Yeah, and then we took some of the last dabs from the show Hot Ones. If you've ever seen it, it's great. If you haven't, go check it out. But so we took 3 of the hottest hot sauces in the world and put them onto this chip. And so the loser of that game, him being a Cowboys fan and me being a Vikings fan, it was a rough loss. It wasn't good. But anyways,
yay! Go local sports team!
Yay!
I used to be a Cowboys fan, and I think I was just demoralized by years of sadness. So
it's rough.
Or maybe I think I just grew out of sports. Football is cool and all, but this is Texas. This is a football state, but
high school millionaire state.
Guys being paid millions of dollars to run around and bang into each other and throw a ball down a deal when we got doctors out there who don't even make that much. Yeah, we got like ER doctors that make like a 16th of that. Yeah, it's just kind of like, meh.
Dude, you're letting your age show like real hard.
Well, I mean, sure, it's sports. Okay, how about that? Okay, how about this? Compare LeBron. Oh, there's that. It's not really a meme, but it's the thing out there that compares the leading player in the WNBA versus LeBron James, leading player in the NBA, and pretty much their records, like their records are pretty much the same. As far as how many championships they've gotten, how many points they've scored, and pretty much they line up. But she gets paid like, I think like $16,000. He gets paid like whatever. Or I think her total contract was worth like a little over $300,000. His contract is like millions. So yeah, but they pretty much put up the exact same stats all year.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of like those lines. It's just I think I got just disenfranchised with just professional sports.
That's fair.
No, that's totally fair. But you know what? People aren't here to listen to us talk about sports. They're here for the horror movies. See what I did there? See what I did?
No, Eugene is not in a rush at all.
It is cold out here.
Yes, for those not in the know, Eugene is actually recording this from outside.
Look at that fucking dedication.
He's like in nature.
And see, that shows my commitment, because I'm at a house full of like family and all this other kind of stuff. So the only quiet place I have is outside, so I can see my breath as I'm like recording this.
Eugene has actually gone outside into the dark, where everybody away from everyone, on a holiday to record a horror podcast.
Talk about the commitment. Coming to you live from fucking cold as shit Texas.
Cold as shit Texas.
You talk about self-fulfilling prophecy. This is how people get killed.
Oh shit.
Not to mention, Eugene's black.
Oh my god, I'm going first.
Oh fuck.
This is how it starts. The black guy goes outside to be away from everybody to do something related to horror. And he's the first victim.
And
this is how it happens.
It's funny you bring it up because a friend of mine was like, hey, there was a mountain lion spotted around here too. And then she showed me the video.
Welcome to Texas, bro. Hey, I live out in the middle of nowhere. That's nothing new to me.
Well, at least we got Johnny O to take his place.
Oh,
but Jessica G will be so disappointed.
Yes, Jessica G was so disappointed. Oh, what a shame. But yes, Eugene is correct. Let's light this fire.
Yeah.
And because we got holidays to get to, but we got some really awesome movies to talk about. Alex, what do we have up first, man?
All right. Speaking of holidays,
kick it off.
I see the football reference there. All right, coming at you. Our first one's going to be a holiday one. Look at that. We're going to be talking about Silent Night, and I hope I watched the right one because there are so many of them.
I think they're like 6.
There's so many. This one came out November 30th, 2012. Directed by Stephen Miller, written by Jason Rothwell. Cast-wise, we are looking at... my notes just dropped. Cool. I can give you Malcolm, which was Sheriff Cooper, Jamie King, Donald Logue.
Donald Logue.
Donald Logue.
Donal.
Oh my God. Santa Jim, okay? Rick Skeen, Ellen Wong. And then, of course, we had Courtney Jane White in this one, which is fantastic.
And that's like Malcolm McDowell, like the legend.
Bro, I had the IMDb pulled up, and for whatever reason, the IMDb on this particular movie is not in the right format, so it just gives you the first name of everybody if they have a long name. So it was
just like Malcolm, Jamie.
Malcolm McDowell. There we go. Donald Lagawi.
Oh my God.
Andrew Seacon. Anyways, this one in short is a psychotic Santa Claus picking off people in a town while the cops try to chase him down, which is kind of fucked up because I think this is based on a actual shooting situation.
Okay, if you're bringing that up, then there was a I think it was back in 2008. There was a guy who dressed up as Santa and murdered 9 people. They were all members of his family, and he pretty much just came in and he either killed them or he shot him and they killed the rest of them in an arson fire. It was really really fucked up scenario.
It was not good.
not good, but no. But technically, while this rings of that incident, this was this is actually a remake of the original
Silent Night, Deadly Night. That's right.
Silent Night, Deadly Night. Yes, the original Silent Night, Deadly Night was in 1984, right?
I believe so.
I believe so. Also,
yes, 1984.
So, and this is technically
at the same time.
And this is technically the 6th in the franchise, I do believe. It's both the remake and it's the final entry in this franchise. I don't think they're going to make it as a Silent Night.
Wasn't Santa's sleigh in this one too? In the franchise?
No, Santa's sleigh was Bill Goldberg, the wrestler, as the murderous Santa who has the hell deer that pulls his sleigh. And he kills people in crazy ways. I think the opening thing, he drowned the chick. I think he drowned the chick in the eggnog, and then he killed someone with a Christmas tree, a Christmas tree topper, it was a star, and he used it as a ninja star and killed somebody with it.
I thought Santa's Sleigh was a different movie, but I'm gonna go watch this one now.
Santa's Sleigh is amazing. It's so ridiculous. Plus, it opens up. He kills an entire family of Jews.
Damn.
Why did you add that into the good part?
I mean, that's how the film opens. It's like the opening, and it turns out like Santa's like the fucking Antichrist or some shit. It's fucking hilarious. I'm not gonna spoil
this shit just got biblical.
But this Silent Night came out in 2012. It was a remake of the original. It's the last one in the franchise. And the original one was rough because this new one just came out. I swear I had to rewatch it again. I couldn't remember a lot of it, and there's a reason for that. It's because it was goofy as hell. Now the kills are pretty decent. It does have a wood chipper kill. Wood chipper kills always give me the skeeves. It's just one way I wouldn't want to go because it's really, really slow and horrible.
So I'm gonna guess that's your partner there in the wood chipper.
Okay, now if you're already dead, that's okay. If I'm already dead, go ahead and wood chipper me, because obviously I'm not going to know. But if I'm alive, that would suck ass, because you got to feel your feet going in, you got to feel your legs going in, and it's going to take a second to get up to you. And if it lodges on your pelvis, you're just going to lay there and bleed to death in agony.
I'm sure you go into shock.
That's a horrifying way to go.
Yeah, because what's so brutal about it? So he goes and he cuts her leg off first, so she can't run away, and then he puts her in, like, if you go into wood chipper head first, then it's like boom, you hit the skull, you're dead, that's gone. But he puts her in leg first.
It's so fucked up.
What a dick.
Oh yeah, the dude's a dick. But yeah, this was a remake of the original. Well, this one was super campy, and it felt like they gave every single one-liner to like Malcolm McDowell. Like every single one no one else had a one-liner except for this man.
Bro, everything.
I don't know
the double S conversation. Double S.
Double screwed. It's like, oh, come on, Malcolm. And I couldn't even see in his face that he was choking on these lines. At least when Jeremy Irons was in Dungeons and Dragons, I could tell that he was just like choking on that dialogue. It was so bad. But Malcolm McDowell, man, he sells this shit.
This movie,
he absolutely sells
bombed fucking terribly.
Oh, it was terrible. Now, unlike the original, because the original didn't necessarily bomb. It didn't do great at the box office, but not because it was bad. It did terrible at the box office because a legion of mothers got together to ban that fucker from theaters. Otherwise, it was on pace to beat every other Christmas film that was out there at the time. In fact, I think it released the same time as Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, if it's
I remember about that. Yep.
Yeah, so, and it actually was on track to beat Nightmare. The only reason Nightmare had the success it did is because Silent Night, Deadly Night got banned. Now, in the original one, and I did dig that the remake kind of stole, there's a moment there, because in the original one, for those who haven't seen it, it's about a little boy who gets traumatized by his grandfather, who tells him the story about the Santa Claus comes and kills all the naughty people and shit like that, and just the kid's like 6 years old, and just like traumatizes the kid. Then later that night, when they're driving home from Grandpa's house, they encounter a stranded driver who is dressed as Santa, and when they stop to help him, the Santa then turns on them and shoots the dad in the face, and then rapes and shoots the mother. It's all fucked up. The kid just barely survives with his little infant baby brother, and obviously he's traumatized. And then later, when he's all grown up, goes on to become a spree killer dressed as Santa himself. And it was so, I don't think anybody had seen a movie where Santa was the villain, where it actually villainized Christmas. Because it was kind of taboo. It was kind of off limits. You don't fuck around with Christmas. You can fuck around with Halloween. You can fuck around with Thanksgiving. Other deals or other holidays are not so taboo, but this particular one went after Christmas big time. Your killer was a Santa, wore a Santa suit, killed people with various implements, and you have it. So it was banned. They actually there were people that actually I think protested to get this thing removed from theaters.
Yeah, because the fact that with Christmas being predominantly like a Christian holiday, a lot of people saw it as an attack on like the religion itself. So it's like, oh no, Christmas is supposed to be our time. It's supposed to be sacred. It's Jesus' birthday. And there's other, I realize that there's other religions that celebrate stuff at the same time, but being predominantly in the United States, like
Rosh Hashanah massacre.
And so people saw that as
Kwanzaa killing.
Sorry,
Kwanzaa I'm
they
done.
kill you with a dreidel.
I'm sorry.
And so they saw that as a personal attack on the holiday. Christmas is supposed to be sacred. It's a family time. People don't care about Halloween. So,
I think there was also the thing where they didn't want their kids hearing about this movie and then thinking Santa was like a bad guy.
Yeah, that Santa was going to kill them with a flamethrower or something like that.
Yeah, or if they disobeyed or he was like wasn't gonna. It was naughty. You know, that kind of
naughty. Like I said, this movie is great because it does have Santa with a flamethrower.
It does have a Santa. The remake did have Santa with a flamethrower, which is pretty goddamn impressive. Santa just fucking mollywopping people in this one, man. There's no fucks given. Damn. And he legit like starts out. He's like getting dressed up as Santa. He's got a dude downstairs trussed up in electrical wiring with Christmas lights, electrocutes his ass, and then dismembers a chick that he was banging upstairs with a fire axe. And I was like, God damn. We're just kicking this off so woo. You know. And of course, it has the classic ambiguous ending and everything. Just like any good slasher. But they haven't made another one since. I thought this was. It was. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the series. I like the series. Even Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 with Garbage Day. Sorry. Alex, do you remember that when Ricky goes on the rampage with the gun and he's just shooting people on the street? And he just said that the one guy's like taking out the garbage and he's like, Garbage Day! Bam! And he shoots the dude dead. Oh my God. The franchise was always so fucking campy. And of course, this one was as well, but all the camp was relegated to Malcolm McDowell. Everyone else is serious as fuck, except for this guy who's got every single classic cop line you could ever throw into a cop movie. There's so many. I mean, from talking about his killer instincts to, oh shit. They're all running through my head. I can't pick a specific one.
There's
I don't
so
know.
many.
I can just imagine him saying some stupid shit though, like "You have the right to remain silent." Next, it's that bad. It's that bad.
Anything you say can and will be used against you, which would be pretty weird because you're dead.
Because you're dead.
But I don't know. But I always dug the Silent Night Deadly Night because even today in 2020 we're way past 1984. And there were 5 in that one. There were 5 Silent Night Deadly Nights. The first 2 were about mass killers. Then they got weird.
Yeah, because you had like
3
the toy maker and other stuff.
Yeah, and it got like supernatural and shit, which was strange. The new one, the 2012 one, was very much a throwback to the first film. But I've always dug that even nowadays it still feels a little taboo. Now it's completely silly. And it's totally unjustified in feeling that way, but it still feels a little taboo to go after Christmas. It does. You don't see a lot of legit it's always indie. No one ever goes big. Well, no. I think in the last 5 years, I think the only one that popped out was Krampus.
Yeah, I was going to say Krampus because Krampus had a decent budget.
Yeah, so because that was Mike, was it Donaghy?
Yeah, because.
The guy who directed Trick or Treat.
I believe so. And I mean, it had stuff like Adam Scott was in it and a couple other big names.
Oh, and Tony Collette.
Yeah, Tony Collette. But other than that, I think we may end up seeing more in the next, say, 10 to 20 years. But also with Christmas is the biggest holiday, period. Like, it is.
Mike Dougherty. Mike Dougherty was who directed that. Yeah.
And so Christmas is the biggest holiday, period. We base a lot of just our calendar in general off of Christmas. And so coming after attacking Santa, it's supposed to be family and about giving and paying it forward and all this other kind of stuff. And then it's like, no, Santa will fucking split your head open with an axe.
Oh, Black Christmas. That's the fucking movie I was thinking of.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
Black
okay.
Christmas.
There was okay. So that was remade, and actually that was remade twice. And the first one was thrillerish, was more thrillerish. The second one was just gory for whatever, was just gross. The second one was just disgusting for disgusting.
Yeah, it had a thing about eyeballs. There's something about eyeballs
just
in
like
that one that was
just eating people's eyes and shit, and fucking weird shit like that. But yeah, the third one was just awful,
just garbage.
Oh, it was just absolute trash. We'll eventually cover it when we have no others to cover that day. We'll cover that one, but that one was
that
garbage.
Would be like what next episode?
But you just don't see that. What about you, Alex? Does it still feel a little taboo for you, or are we so fucking desensitized that you could just drop anything on Christmas?
I think Christmas, in my mind, Christmas is the last sacred holiday. So, we've been through so much, and I'm 30 and I'm the youngest one in this group, and I've been through enough to where like some of the holidays to me are kind of just whatever. This year, honestly, all of the holidays this year have been very I felt a lot more about them this year because things have gone just to shit. So the holidays are something to look forward to. And actually, for the first time in a long time, I've felt good about all the holidays. I'm not stressed out. I kind of let all the things go on the holidays. But Christmas has always been that one that is just sacred. There's just something about Christmas where it's like, okay, you made it through the year. Like, this is the big one. Everybody gets together and I feel like you can breathe and it's just happy. So I think, I still feel like it's kind of taboo to have these Christmas horror films because you're kind of fucking with something that is just so far off. It's hard to make a Christmas horror movie because it's so far away from horror that like my brain can't put those two things together. Thanksgiving. It's fun to watch. Like, what the fuck is that turkey movie?
Thanksgiving.
Nice.
That's fucking hilarious because it's like,
oh my god, fucking turkey,
it's
man.
Fucking hilarious.
Amazing.
I mean, Halloween, obviously, even, you couldn't really touch 4th of July, but like St. Patrick's Day, you've got Leprechaun. There's something in all of those holidays that you could turn into horror.
Oh, no, 4th of July, man. That's the purge.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, but that gets a lot, that's a lot of fucking political bullshit. But so is 4th of July, I suppose. But, this one for me is like the most sacred and probably my favorite holiday because it is the one time where I feel everybody kind of just lets go all the bullshit and does their thing. And for me, it's not religious. For me, it's about the year that, we've put behind us and the family that you have. And I just feel like it's taboo, but not in a way that like I could ever find a Christmas movie scary.
It's not for punishing sinners.
No, and I mean you can even touch on like Krampus and stuff, and that's more like folklore. I find that more interesting than scary, and I don't know. So yeah, it's taboo in a way that I don't think that it could be done well, and I've yet to see a Christmas horror movie that was done well. But I did just read something that I wanted to bring up because we are starting to talk about Christmas movies, and that was about this guy that had wrote one of these, little meme things, and it was like, so Santa watches you for the year, indicating that the year starts on January 1st until Christmas. So then that leaves the week after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, wide open, where you can just do whatever the fuck you want. He's not watching. So I thought that was super interesting.
It's amnesty period.
It's like
challenge accepted.
You got that 5 or 7 day window where it's just like you can do whatever and he's not watching. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of funny. But that's a really good question. That's something that I want to ask the audience. Do you have a favorite Christmas?
Wait, hang on a second. Do you think it makes a difference that you have kids?
What, the horror aspect of it?
Yeah. I mean, because you not only have kids, you have young kids.
Yes. And I've got a child who's also getting to the age where she's going to start understanding what Christmas really is, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge to anybody that listens to this with their kids. And if you do, you deserve fucking coal in your stocking because children do not need to be listening to this. But I think this is the best education anybody can get. I've got an almost 9-year-old, and she's asked the question before, and it's, it's one of those things where it's like, it's kind of heartbreaking because it's like that's going to come to a close for one of my children. And so soon, I feel like she was just born yesterday. So it's like, well, fuck. And then we got other kids that are younger. So it's like, what happens when she so, maybe it has something to do with it. But like I said, it would have to be an outstanding Christmas horror movie to even touch on it. I feel like it would be so hard to touch Christmas with horror. I don't know. Like I said, yet to see one. And then you come out with shit like Black Christmas, where it's just like, are you serious? I don't know. Why? I want to hear more because you're silent now. Like, what?
No, I'm curious about it. I was just curious that you take it because I think that obviously having, especially young children, if you do the whole Santa thing, then you'd want to protect them. You want to protect them from the possible idea that Santa could be a person, Santa could be a bad person, and I can understand that. There's a sense of innocence that you want to maintain at least while they're young, and I totally get that. Honestly, I'm all about however, and it's up to whatever parents whatever they want to do. If they don't care and they think that horror movies are cool, and then I say, more power to you. Because my parents showed me horror films. Look how I turned out.
See, okay, so now that I'm thinking about it, you got me. First of all, we don't even need to touch that.
Thanks for the support, guys.
Fucking how the Grinch is jail. I think something scary that you could do with Christmas is like abduction. Like you bring up the child thing. Santa comes in, he doesn't give, he takes. Or if you could play in some sort of what do they call that when where they swap kids out? It's like a folklore changelings.
Oh yeah.
If you'd fuck with changelings, like this evil Santa comes in and switches one of the kids out with a murderous child, and then like murders ensue during the day, but nobody knows. Maybe if you touched on a more personal aspect, but just like this movie, where it's just like Santa's picking people off in the fucking street, or like any of the ones we've talked about, these either campy or just downright fucking shitty, holiday horror movies. It just hasn't touched it yet. If there is a good Halloween, there's plenty of good Halloween horror movies. If there is a good Christmas horror movie, it has yet to be made, in my opinion. One that is actually scary.
Really? Oh, one that was actually scary?
Yeah.
Or one that was just good?
No. There's a couple of good movies, but like not scary.
I don't know about scary, but yeah, there are a couple of like I said, with the slashers. That's pretty much really all we get for Christmas is just a couple slasher films.
That's all you can do. There's not enough around it. Unless you went into a 3-hour movie about like religion or something. You'd have to get really deep into it to make me go, whoa.
I think because it's interesting you mentioned the Changeling one, because there is a horror anthology called A Christmas Horror Story, where one of the segments in that anthology dealt with the Changeling.
Oh,
with they go the family goes out to cut down a Christmas tree, and they go out to the deep woods to find a good wild one, and so they go to cut it down, and the kid disappears for a moment, but then they find him again real quick, and it turns out he's been switched. So,
I may stand corrected.
Yeah, so that was a Christmas Horror Story, which actually I thought was pretty good, and it has William Shatner.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, the concept is that I think there's 4 entries in the story, and then the framing narrative is a radio DJ is doing the Christmas the Christmas show for that night, and so it's his block on the radio, and he'll be like do a little break, and he'll be like, hey, how's it going, everybody? We're kicking off Christmas like this with this, and they'll play the music, and then it will go to a story, and then the music that he's playing on the radio will be playing we'll kick off that story. And then in between stories, a break back at the radio station until it turns out, and then I thought it was really good. And William Shatner was the DJ. So,
oh, cool.
Check that one out.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that one out too.
All right. Well, hey, that does bring me to my question for the audience. Do you have a favorite Christmas horror? And I'm gonna go farther into this one because I'm interested, and like I said, I've yet to be impressed. Movie or even story. If you can find a good Christmas horror story, drop it to us, weekinhorror@gmail.com. Let us know. Try to blow my mind. I will watch it. Seriously, I will watch anything that you drop in there. I will make it a December marathon of Christmas horror, and I will let you guys know if I'm impressed or not. All right, JL, take us to something super, super short. I was surprised. Super short, but super weird, intense.
Definitely weird.
Yes. This was a weird one. But I particularly enjoyed it. But yeah, definitely probably the weirdest of the. I don't know. We got some weird ones in tonight's show. But released December 2nd, 2016. We have the Eyes of My Mother. So, directed by Nicholas Pesce and written by Nicholas Pesce, starring Kika Magalhaes, Olivia Bond, Diana Augustini, and Paul Nazak. This is an interesting little film. To try to put it into perspective without giving too much away, because this one is only 2016, only came out, I think it's now 4 years ago. It's all shot in black and white, and it's very much as much a character study as it is a horror story about a young girl who grows up on a very, very rural farm. And as people kind of enter her lives, starting with her parents as they kind of leave her life and then enter her life, the girl really doesn't grow up with any friends and I think would be defined as truly alone. And that the film is really kind of a character study on what loneliness and lack of connection with people outside of like just your parents, what that can do to a person in the long term. And I found it really, really intriguing because she does engage in some very, very horrific behavior, but to her, it's not horrific because it's what she knows, which is strange because there's a strange relationship with the parents, but not bad, just a little too much, I think, for some people. But it goes on to engage in some really, really disturbing behavior that this girl engages in. But I thought it was both creepy as hell and somewhat heartbreaking. It really was.
I have so many things to say about this movie.
Well, that's why we're on a podcast.
Oh shit! I can say them on here, huh?
Yes, you can. I understand the capacity. I mean, everyone needs connection, and being alone especially for protracted periods of time. We see this kind of stuff like people who are like thrown in solitary in prison. But even then, you still get food every day. Even then, you still see somebody at least 3 times a day, or your hour if you go out and you get exercise. You still see the guards. There's still people there. With this girl, it's like all alone.
See, okay, so you say that. All right, here, let me just start this out. Eugene, let me give you a talking point here. There's a difference between being confined and being free in the aspect of being alone.
Exactly.
Being held against your will like that, like you're talking about, jail. That's a very good point. But like you're still
there's still a power, like there's still a presence there that's holding you
right,
down.
Exactly.
So still something you can interact with.
The fact that you're being held means that there's somebody else in your life. And in this movie, when she's kind of just free to do whatever she wants, that's a whole and still also alone, like you say, that's a whole nother aspect of being alone. That yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I did some research, and one of the things I researched was feral children. And there's a handful of them throughout history where it's kids from one reason or another were abandoned out in the woods and went long periods of time without, some like maybe parents were killed, shipwrecked or whatever.
That's where I get my kids, out in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, out in the middle woods. And it's a difficult subject to study because it's cruel to do that to children in any way. So we have very few examples of. It was about 150 years ago, about the 1850s. They came across a kid who was about 8 or 9 years old. They have no idea where his parents were, who was just out in the woods. He was out in the woods for years. Didn't know how to speak any language. Didn't know how to interact with people in any way. Didn't know any kind of customs, anything at all whatsoever.
Eugene, that was just the story of Tarzan.
And he was majestic as he swung throughout the trees. But you start realizing, we learn so much from our surroundings, and then we don't have that. So when some of the things that she does, when she's like dancing in front of a corpse, and we're like, well, that's horrible. Why would you do something like that? She doesn't know that that's strange.
Well, that's what played into it is. She's got no one to bounce anything off of, except for her father for the longest time. In her very early, I think I don't really state how old she was when the real tragedy with her mother takes place, because it's god awful situation, but it seems to have a diminished effect on her because. I think because the way her mother raised her mother was a doctor before I guess they retired to the farm, or they just decided to go to the farm. But her mother was a very, very, you could tell was a very analytical, very almost cold individual. She wasn't mean. She just didn't put the emphasis on that emotion as much as she put the emphasis on education and making sure that her daughter understood things. But when she leaves the picture and then her father leaves the picture, she's got no one to bounce anything off of. And, given her what she does to her victims. And I guess never learned that revulsion, that what she's doing may come off a certain way in society because she wasn't really in society. And just kind of making it up as she goes along. It never did explain how she made money to pay, but maybe the place was paid off. Maybe they owned all the land. I have no idea. But to have that kind of isolation, like Alex said, where no interactivity. She wasn't in captivity. She could leave her if she wanted. She had a car. She just, I guess, the length of time, she preferred staying in the house at all times, and so it lingered with me. It just a horror that does that. These are people that are monsters. Well, are they really monsters? It makes us question certain things. Makes us see it from their perspective, and it stuck with me. Stuck with me for a couple of days, thinking about being in that situation, not knowing the difference between what is socially acceptable and what is not, and how easily it could have been. Anybody could be in the situation. Ed Gein was in that situation.
Well, also, you think on top of that is even people who know killing and murdering is wrong and they still do it. So when you get somebody who's absent of society, who has nobody, it makes sense that they wouldn't see anything wrong with it.
But see, that's the thing. There's a quote in the movie, go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence, and whether or not it is clear to you the universe is unfolding as it should. And that quote states that, this person does know that there is things going on outside of the situation, but chose to be there. Which, another thing. Okay, so JL, you said something about lingering. This movie has stuck with me since I watched it. I watched it the day we dropped the script, and I haven't stopped thinking about it because there are parts of this movie, like when she goes, I can't remember the quote exactly, but it was something along the lines of, "Why do you think I'm gonna kill you?" And
when she was a little girl.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. When she when they had the first, when she has the first guy
when she's
tied
picking
up,
like glass out of his face. And she's like, "Why do you think I'm gonna kill you?" The way that it's presented is as interested. Why do you feel that way? It's not like why do you think I'm gonna kill you? Like what have I given you that says I'm gonna kill you? It's more like, but why do you feel that way? And like that she's like picking apart his brain as, this person lays there absolutely terrified for his life. Like she's more interested in like the psychology behind what she's doing to these people. It shows an understanding that what she's doing is not normal to the people that she's doing it to, which makes it even creepier because it's more of an understanding of this isn't because like you said, Eugene, these kids don't know like right from wrong. They don't know about society, but just the way that some of these things that she says, they're not, there's an understanding behind it. And it's very clear that she knows that what she's doing is not normal in society, but also, she's not going to stop because she's got, she's studying. It's like you said, it's like a case study of somebody that could be, but it's also the case study of somebody that's studying people. Why do these people want to live in this society? Why wouldn't they want to be in silence? Remember what peace there may be in silence. Like she finds a peace in it. It's creepy. It's so creepy. And the psychological aspect, this movie, I looked into it. It's only 76 minutes long, but it's like, you can go into this at the very beginning and at the very end of it be like, whoa, and not even realize that you've watched the whole movie. It's not bloated. There's not extra stuff in there, but it also doesn't leave very much out. I think this was...
the dialogue is very sparse.
It's very sparse. And it's only every once in a while, but it's very, very profound in a way, if you will. I don't know if that's the right word, but to me it was like, the writing, the directing in this, it was all just like I couldn't even believe it was a movie. At the end of it, it was like, wow, that person is oh wait, no, it was just an actress. I liked this one. Psychologically, this was a psychological movie for me, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, there was definitely.
I liked it too because it was something that was unique. That I like movies where there is no filler dialogue or pillow filler or anything like that. It was straight. It was sharp. There was dialogue when there needs to be dialogue, and there was always some kind of subtext on top of that.
I agree with you. I'm going to say the exposition was in her face.
Yeah.
The actress, Kika, I think it's Kika Melgace, who played Francisca. The way she emotes is so intense. The work that she does with her eyes and the little micro expressions, and how the mother states tells her when she's a little girl, when Olivia Bond was playing a young Francisca, the mother tells her, or is talking about how loneliness can result in psychotic behavior.
Loneliness can do strange things to the mind.
Can do strange things to a mind.
It was like, so she
knows,
and
and so the older Francisca, played by Kika, you can tell that she is reading the person across from her, because there's a moment when she brings a girl home from a bar. She goes out to a bar to and then brings the girl home, and it's just awkward the entire time. Like, she knows what she's supposed to be doing. She knows what the other person is doing. But she is constantly searching herself to make the right choice, which is why her reactions are so delayed.
That's the word, delayed reaction. Because she'll sit there and look for a second, but her facial expression won't change very much. But you can tell when stuff clicks in her head, because her, she'll be staring straight at the person, and then that's the creepiest part. She's always looking directly at, like you're talking about when she brings her home, and it's the Asian lady, right, that she brings back from the bar.
Yeah,
and she's looking at the picture when they walk in, and she turns the lights on, and the way that she's kind of tilting her head but staring at her, how did she react to me turning the lights on?
And she doesn't. That was the also thing that got me. She doesn't stare with predatory intent. She doesn't stare with any kind of malice or whatever. She simply stares because she's reading the other person.
Studying.
She's intently reading the people that are across from her in order to see what they're emoting. Just basically almost in an analytical studying way, which doesn't come off as creepy. Just comes off like she's socially inept.
But it's kind of creepy because it's that disassociativeness of it, where she's not emotionally invested in any way at all.
It's yeah. But
this one stayed with me.
I don't know. Yeah, it never lets go. That's the thing. And even when she's got when she goes to feed the cow, and she puts her arm out with the apple or whatever she's got in her hand, going to the cow, and the cow backs up. There's subtle things in the movie that work so much for this movie. Yeah. I don't know. Check it out. It's seriously.
It's good.
Let's discuss more.
It was really good, yeah. And that will bring it up. So I want to ask the audience, horror being what it is, we all have our different favorites, but I'm very curious. What horror films have you watched that have really stayed with you? The Eyes of My Mother really lingered with me. Obviously, it definitely lingered with Alex and Eugene. This one is very, very thought provoking in not just the kind of horror of what the girl does, but in just kind of the mentality, the psychology of the character. So let us know. I'd like to know in the comments what horror films have stuck with you long after the credits have rolled. Yeah, let us know there, or shoot us an email, weekinhorror@gmail.com. I'll tell you another one before I pass over to Eugene. I'll tell you another one that really stuck with me. It was a British horror movie called Heartless. And that one haunted me for a week after I watched it. And I want to make that as a recommendation to everybody out there. Now, I will say there's a bit of bias there because when I watched it, I think I got to double check. I'm actually going to and I'm going to get a little personal on this one. The reason, because this came out in 2009, and it stars Jim Sturgis. It was just 10 years ago. So yeah, my dad passed away in 2004. So this is about 5 years after. And I kind of went through bouts where I really really miss my dad and everything, and this one is about one of the primary subjects of this film, although it is definitely a horror movie. One of the aspects of this film is about the relationship between a kid and between the protagonist or the guy and his dad, and because he lost his dad as well, and it had a profound effect on him. I think I related to the character very much, but that concept of loss and the effect of trauma, the trauma of loss, and the effect that can have as it kind of rings through your life, especially if you're a social outcast, that hit me right where I live. And that one blew my mind. I was stuck on that movie for like a week. I've only watched it twice because it takes me right back there. But I strongly, it's a tough one. It has some tough moments to get through, but it's extremely well acted. Really, really solid horror film. I highly recommend it. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in watching. But what about you guys? Anything you guys other than this one?
In terms of horror movies that kind of stick with you?
Yeah, that just stayed with you, man, for like days after.
Nothing comes to mind right now. I'm pretty sure we'll go into the next movie and one will pop into my head, but I don't have anything off the top of my head.
I mean, when it comes down to, because I'm really into like psychological horror movies. So you talk about stuff like we just talked about one, Shrooms. Obviously, we just talked about it in that episode. I got really whipped up about it because like that was one that has stuck with me for years, even just because of how they portrayed the movie. I mean, it was just a very well done movie, but it was also it did something to my brain and it just stuck with me. But like Eugene said, I'm sure there's a bunch that have been, you just sit and they'll hit over and over again for weeks on end. I know there's been a couple that I've watched that have made me feel uneasy for a long time. Especially like back when like, like K-horror J-horror started coming over here real hard, and like The Ring and The Grudge and stuff, and I was pretty young when that stuff started coming out. So those ones kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, The Ring gave me nightmares. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff that plays off of stuff in your everyday life are the most, hard.
I will admit that the tape that she watches in The Ring and that one got me. There was some imagery in that one.
Yeah, exactly. I think that probably rings true with a lot of people because that was, that was touching on some pretty taboo. We'd seen some pretty crazy shit in horror movies up to that point, but then, it was like that uneasy feeling, and then it plays off of mirrors, plays off of chairs, plays off of like
I don't know what the fuck was it? It was a ladder.
Yeah, it was a ladder that
it was a ladder. It was a ladder, and it was fucking creepy. Why? I never got that. It was like it's a ladder. Now that was the fucking thing is that there were brief images that were really they were slow enough for you to recognize what you were looking at, but they were too fast for context.
Yeah.
So you just got image, and then kind of like, and then like the ladder, and then the spinning chair, and then I'm on a cliff, and then the ring, and it's just like, okay, I sort of get what the fuck.
Now I'm afraid of ladders and chairs, and I don't know why.
And I don't understand it. Why wild shit? But definitely to the audience, let us know. What horror movies have stuck with you? We'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that in the comments or weekinhorror@gmail.com. Eugene, take us to our next entry.
Okay, well, before we go into our next film, did any of y'all actually go to the Ring's website?
God, yeah.
I may have, but I don't recall.
So they had it. They had it where you clicked on the website and it played the video full screen.
Yeah.
Nice.
I never fucking watched it for more than 3 seconds, but yeah.
I couldn't finish it. I was like, because the whole thing, the trailer comes out, and it's like, oh, if you watch this video, you die. And so you go like theringmovie.com, whatever it was, and you click on it, and it just plays the video. And I was like, I'm gonna fucking die. I am gonna fucking die. I was sitting there watching it with like a couple of friends, and we turned it off, and we thought like we saved our lives. So, so that I don't know if the website,
Wild.
I don't know if the website's still up today, but yeah. Speaking of The Ring, so a not so traumatizing film like The Ring, we have released December 3rd, 1993. We have Cronos. And Cronos is directed by the man, the myth, the legend, Guillermo del Toro.
Oh my god, dude.
Guillermo del Toro.
Oh my
Guillermo
God.
del Toro.
I'm sorry, I gotta save you on that one. There's some fans out there that may send you more than hate mail.
Oh yeah, they would hang me in the streets. And so we have starring. All right. Federico.
Oh my God. I'm sorry.
I apologize ahead of time.
I'm sorry,
Federico.
Lupi. Ron Perlman.
There you go.
The one American in the production.
Claudio Brook and Margarita Isabel.
There you go.
Oh, a little bit of something there. Right? And basically, you have an antique dealer stumbles across this 400-year-old scarab that latches onto his arm and grants him eternal youth and a thirst for blood. And then shit gets real. Shit gets real. I always like ending on shit gets real because that's seriously how every horror movie is. It's like, okay, you got your premise, and if shit doesn't get real, it's not a horror film.
You know how weird it was watching this movie with Ron Perlman being fucking so young?
a young Ron Perlman, not in the guise of Vincent. It is very, very strange looking, especially now since we're so used to him today. Sons of Anarchy, or he's got his older incarnation.
He's still bad.
But but hearing that voice coming out of that of his youthful form is very, very strange indeed. Especially he runs around the movie, I think, with his nose broken for most of the movie.
He's bleeding out of his face for most of the movie.
It's wild. I dug it. One thing I would say that is a common theme of a lot of Del Toro's early films is that he loves his folklore, and he also loves classic monsters, but he doesn't like revealing them like classic monsters. So whereas Cronos is definitely a vampire movie. Okay, but it is definitely not your typical vampire. This is a very atypical vampire film. Even in the depiction of the vampire itself is a radically different vision. And I love Del Toro's kind of both examination of and depiction of the mythical creature.
I mean, to get really into his vision of this movie, but most of his stuff in general, I mean, you really got to start now and kind of work your way backwards. Like, did you guys ever watch the TV show The Strain?
Yes. That was based on a book series written by Chuck Hogan, and then the teleplay was written by Del Toro and Chuck Hogan.
And so like he played so much. So the books were good. I don't know if you've read any of them, but the books are great. But you get into Del Toro's vision in this, and it pushed me because we were talking about this, and I know we wanted to get into Del Toro's vision of vampires and monsters in general because it's just he's got such a different take on it. He, like you said, he plays into this. When he was interviewed, because I got into some interviews with him, and he's talking about how there was a line that he used along the lines of when you're creating something like a vampire or zombie, you wanna make it closer to the myths because using science is arrogant. And then he goes on to say like science in general is arrogant, and so he likes to take the scientific aspect and use the relevant parts that aren't the arrogant parts in his eyes and stick to these folklores. And he's so big. Like when they asked him, so in his eyes, when they asked him about the Twilight series, he was like, never read them. He's like, no. But he often quotes I Am Legend, and he wants to do like his own versions of I Am Legend. He's always kind of gone towards that, and he started with Dracula, and he did not like. He's like real big on Dracula. He knows so much about it, but he wanted to kind of veer away from I guess the science and vampirism. He looks more
like explaining it away with a virus,
right? No, that's the thing is okay. he did want the best way to beat science is use science. So like a pandemic or an epidemic would be like the best way to like explain it without going into like, oh, this is the way that, you know, just make it kind of a broad thing. But he really looks into like Eastern European types of like vampirism. But he acknowledges that there are different kinds, Chinese, Malaysian, you know, Middle Eastern, that are all very different from Western myth. And he likes to touch on a lot of that stuff. So when he gets into it, he talks about Salem's Lot and I Am Legend, like I said. Fever Dream was another one by George R.R. Martin that he talks about a lot. And so he takes a lot of inspiration from many different places, and he likes to come up with this movie. Like you said, it's not like your normal depiction of a vampire. And the way that this movie goes is, like you said, there's this ancient artifact that grants him eternal life, which is, you know, in that point he turns into, you could say, a vampire. And, you know, there are some vampire aspects to it, but the way that he plays on it is so different than everybody else. And I think that's what makes him really successful when it comes to monsters, because he likes to have his own take on it, but he also keeps in mind mythology and folklore, and and does something different. He doesn't want to do the same thing over and over again.
I think it was so interesting. His depiction of it, you know, vampires being eternal and obviously, you know, subsisting off the blood of the living, which this definitely does have in it. But you know, no fangs and no like you transforming into shit. But the concept of when his skin begins to turn like marble white. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes.
And it evoked images of like Grecian statues. And like Greek busts and Roman busts, you know, carved from marble, the almost eternal aspect of a person cast in marble. You know, like that kind of eternal nature, but put upon a living, this living being. I found it to be beautifully done in an aesthetic way. That's why I love Del Toro's visions. He will take concepts that you typically wouldn't connect, and he'll bring them together. Like the living marble statue, to kind of like embody the eternal nature of this creature that he's become. I found it because it kicks off, you know, when the original alchemist dies after creating the device that houses the creature inside that gives immortality, or basically turns people into vampires. When he dies, it was because he was impaled through the heart, and of course, you know, we see all the basins that he had from the corpse that he had under there. But yeah, I found it was a haunting one, beautifully done. The aesthetics on this thing were fantastic. And the dichotomy of an old, because he starts out, he's an old man. And then he gets, you know, the device, it's like a clockwork, almost steampunk device, pierces his hand, and then all of a sudden his youth starts coming back to him. His vitality comes back. His wrinkles go away. His hair starts getting thicker again. Like he's like reverting in age. And his libido comes back. He's feeling youthful. And I love the depiction of it. And now in his situation, then contrasted with Ron Perlman's character, who is alive, you know, has his youth, and is ultimately unhappy with what he is. Because I think he was constantly talking about getting his nose fixed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's constantly talking about just is dissatisfied with who he was, when he's got everything the old man doesn't have.
Everything that he wants, and it's just a battle between
everything
them in the middle, you know, and it's, yeah. There is, I want to throw this out there before I forget, there was an article by the official publication of the Transylvania Society of Dracula, in the Journal of Dracula Studies. You can find it on academia.edu. It's called A Monstrous Outbreak, Epidemics in Biology and the Creative Process of Guillermo del Toro's Symbolic Vampires. And you can dig into this, and you can really get an idea. It goes through the career of Del Toro and his impact on vampires in movies. That's pretty cool. All right, so yeah, this paper had been published. Like I said, you can find that at academia.edu. It's called A Monstrous Outbreak, Epidemics in Biology and the Creative Process of Guillermo del Toro's Symbolic Vampires. And it's really cool because it touches on this movie. There's a lot about this movie and the Cronos device and what it's about. But also they touch on stuff like COVID-19 and how it came, it's thought to come from a bat, and how that plays into now. He's looking into this as like a something to play on. So it's really cool. If you get a chance, check this paper out. You can find the PDF on the internet. It's right there for you. So yeah, definitely, it's really cool because it gives you a huge insight into the process that he comes with in creating his monsters.
Oh, it's absolutely stunning. I love how he falls back on, obviously the local folklore of his native Spain, native Mexico and Spain, both of them. He touches on both of them, but the things he pulls from folklore are amazing. The stuff in Are You Afraid of the Dark, Pan's Labyrinth, The Devil's Backbone. I think The Orphanage. Mm-hmm. I think he was behind The Orphanage, yeah. And the things we see, the tertiary, I would say the background things that we see in the Hellboy series, and even in The Shape of Water, everything he does is touched by the trappings of his universe, and the things I think that influenced him as a child, that influenced his imagination, the things that he came up with. You could see Lovecraft in there, you could see Poe in there, you could see Chambers, you could see the great poets. I love the way he depicts things. Obviously, the great fairy tale authors, the Grimm brothers, and so on and so forth. I adore it. It takes me back to being a child, and some of it is deeply haunting. Some of it's somewhat scary, because I think it takes you back to being a child, and in that kind of state, in that mental state, the monsters come out, and they're scarier than they usually are. But then I do also love, and this is kind of the softy in me, I do love how his stories often have happy endings.
They do.
Yeah.
It doesn't, story horror does not always have to be, like down endings or neutral endings or things that just, like make you want to eat a bullet. Thank you, The Mist. You can have happy endings. And I do like that his stories are very fairy tale in that respect.
And I appreciate it. And I know a lot of people like to dive into like Tim Burton's vision and all this other kind of stuff, but Del Toro has he has his own style, this own unique world that he's able to create, and it's fascinating. And it really is. You talk about, for example, like the Hellboy series. I love the Hellboy movies. I love the first and the second one. Just his creative mind and the way he thinks about it, and he is very. I don't say it's about a lot of directors. A lot of directors will have like a thing they focus on. So they're like a writer, director, or they focus on cinematography or special effects or whatever. He's one of the few directors that really focuses on art direction.
You know what? Just touching on it, let me piggyback off of that on his art direction, on his art department. Whenever he is doing a major scene, whenever there's a major scene, not a transitional scene, but a major plot scene in a film, the background, the set that they are currently acting in is generally reflective of the dominant person in the scene. So, like in Hellboy, all of the scenes that Professor Broom were the primary individual in that scene, like the leading actor, the leading character of that scene, they were all surrounded by intellectual things. They were either in the library or they were in the museum. I mean, even his death scene is in the library, and the transitional scenes are always him walking in between point to point. And of course, all of Hellboy stuff, his backgrounds, they're always fast moving. They're always action oriented, unless they're contemplative, in which it's only him in the scene. He doesn't have his deep thought moments unless he's alone. Otherwise, there's always someone sharing there, and he's always goofing off and being whatever until he has his vulnerable moment, and he has his moment with Liz. So I find the way he caters every single scene to the individuals that are in it to really help the audience get in, to feel the emotion of that, to draw them into the character. I love the way he designs it. It's absolutely beautiful. He is a legend. I think he deserves more credit than he gets, as much as he does get. I think he's one of the absolute greats.
He just cares so much about what he does. It's amazing.
Yes.
I mean, he does. We're talking about what the issues he had with Mimic.
Oh fuck! I was totally spaced. Yeah, I mean, why would I forget? I mean, literally, Norman Reedus' like breakout role.
Yeah,
like what the shit? Because he can't. I think he knew Norman like tertiary through somebody else, and he decided to cast Norman in this film, and that was how Norman pretty much got his break in Hollywood.
Whoops.
But so I know we mentioned a couple of Del Toro films here. I actually want to ask the audience.
Well, wait, what were you gonna say about Mimic?
Oh no, because remember he had all the studio problems, and we'll talk about his vision about how he's able to create and how he's able to really reinforce the character.
Oh yeah, yeah, but that involves Miramax.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to get like super into that.
It involves They Who Will Not Be Named.
That's why I didn't want to get it. But okay, I do want to say,
I don't know, Mira Sorvino was fucking hot.
Oh, she's awesome. But I do want to say, for upcoming filmmakers, I get the question all the time of how do I make my film look big budget? And I tell people all the time, it's art direction. You can get a $10,000 camera. You can get $5,000 lighting setups. You can get a $10,000 lens. If you shoot a blank white wall in an apartment, it's a blank white wall in an apartment. So
this is true. Oh, Richard Oakes and Adam Leader were talking about that very thing. That it all came down to what is in front of your camera. You know, the effort and the love they put into crafting this space is what sold that movie. That's why when you watch the movie Host, you get the feeling that the movie is way more expensive than it was.
Exactly, because
but we're like doing the podcast, and Richard is recording his part of the podcast because he was on camera. He's recording that from one of the rooms that they used in the movie, because it was his house. And I was like, "What the fuck?" But yeah, that was there. I was like, "Holy shit!" And I didn't even recognize it. But yeah, that's the importance of that art department, to really, really sell the space.
It really is. It's something that, in terms of the amateur and especially the low budget indie film market, that is really commonly overlooked, especially upcoming filmmakers, where they don't want to put the money in art direction. Getting yourself an art director, getting yourself a production designer, it just ups the value of your film. And when you get somebody like Tim Burton and Del Toro that really excel on the art direction,
Peter
Jackson's another one.
Oh, yeah.
I love Peter Jackson's quote, "If it's not right, it's wrong."
So true.
Because it's Peter Jackson, he can say shit like that.
Yeah, because it's
fucking Kubrick.
Kubrick. The same way. So.
Oh, man. Oh, speaking of which, I think that this is the opportunity for us to send out a special thanks. I know she probably won't hear it, but Megan, who is the art, it was Megan who worked on the art, it was pretty much the art department for our projects.
Oh yeah, Megan. Yeah, Megan has done, so she's my go-to production designer, and she does an amazing job, and she is somebody I love working with her, because she's somebody like, I'll be directing a film and I was like, okay, what about this? And she would straight up be like, no, it needs to be like this. And it's like, actually, you're right. I can't, we got like a $300 vanity for one scene, but it was awesome, and it sells the scene on top of that.
There you go. So yeah, a little shout out to a production designer who is absolutely stunning. I've had the pleasure of working with her twice. Brilliant young lady who just knocks it out of the park every single time. I hope I get to work with her again in the future. Working with you, if I get to work with Eugene, I'm definitely going to get to work with Megan.
Oh, absolutely.
She kicks ass. So, but that is the importance of there. That is what I mean. Just simple things, and of course, there's tricks you can do with lighting, tricks you can do with camera angles, but creating your set, creating the scene, the background of the scene, will sell so much more. Not to mention, it helps your actors. It really does. It really helps the actors, because once immersed, they can look around and they see what's all around them. They can attribute the history to the items there. They can look at like the way what's on the walls, or what's on the table, or what's in the background, and helps them to kind of attach themselves to that moment. And they really can sell it. It helps every aspect of it. And Del Toro is a genius, a master at creating scenes that you could just live in. God, I fucking love his work. Oh, and some of the creepy shit. Devil's Backbone just, woo. Devil's Backbone was so good. I mean, that was so good, but wow, that was a creepy. Oh, the kid with the who was bleeding from his head, but it was like he was underwater, but he wasn't underwater. So wild. Such cool shit.
So definitely take that, pay attention. Don't skimp out on your art direction. I know people who have shot with $300 cameras and can rival any like medium budget feature film out there because of art direction. Mm-hmm. They know how to light it, and you get the art direction on top of that. So definitely do not skimp out on that at all. The lesson to all the filmmakers out there. Mm-hmm. But speaking of Del Toro, we have mentioned several of his films, and there's plenty more out there. I actually want to ask the audience, what is your favorite Del Toro film?
Oh, that's such a tough one.
Pacific Rim.
But even Pacific Rim, the art direction was on point.
Dude, Idris Elba was fucking amazing in that movie.
That movie was a lot better than it should have been. I'm not saying it's great, I'm just saying it's better than it should have been.
The only thing bad, well, there was two things bad about the movie. One, too much darkness. We needed to see those fights lit up. And two, Charlie Hunnam's accent. What the fuck was that? I'm sorry, but Charlie Hunnam is English. And of course, if you watch him in Sons of Anarchy, he's decidedly not English. But he was trying to affect a different kind of... Hearing him speaking, that just sounded so weird. Because it wasn't the kind of slangish South accent or slangish South twang that he used in Sons of Anarchy, and it was obviously the kind of British wasn't the English accent that he typically has. He was really, really weird. He just sounded so strange in that. But Charlie Day, he was funny as hell.
Oh yeah, Charlie Day is just being Charlie Day at that point.
Oh yeah. Oh sorry, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. I said, are you afraid of the dark? Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. Mama, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark that just came out.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
On top of that, we talk about Hellboy 1, Hellboy 2, Pan's Labyrinth, which Pan's Labyrinth is just amazing. So there's so many to pick from. But let us know, what is your favorite Del Toro film? And Alex, I think we got one more film left.
Just one more for tonight. We're gonna do a fun one to end this.
I really love this movie. I really do.
This movie was You Might Be the Killer. It came out December 4th, 2018. This movie was written by Brett Simmons. No, I'm sorry. Directed by Brett Simmons. Written by Thomas Vitale and Brett Simmons. I guess it was written by Brett Simmons, too. Starring Franz Kranz, Allison Hannigan, the Allison Hannigan, I should say. Brittany Hall, Jenna Harvey, Brian Price, Patrick Walker, Jack Murillo. I don't think I left anybody important out.
Keith motherfucking David.
Fuck, I left out Keith motherfucking David.
like the legend amongst them.
Shit, I left the important person out. Leave it to me.
I just don't believe any of this voodoo bullshit. Do you believe any of this voodoo bullshit?
This movie was fun. But it's pretty new, and not a whole lot of people have seen it. So without giving a whole lot away, a camp counselor blacks out, finds himself surrounded by a bunch of dead bodies. Turns to a horror.
For anybody who needs context, the counselor is played by Frank Kranz, and Frank Kranz was the stoner in Cabin in the Woods. Okay, so imagine him in this state.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it there. Alex, continue.
That was a good twist on it. Turns to a friend who is a horror movie enthusiast as ourselves. Wait a second, I think we've talked about this aspect before, this idea before. But turns to a horror movie enthusiast for answers to what's going on, and kind of starts figuring out that he might be the killer. It's kind of plays off. I don't want to give away too much because this is fantastic. Not a whole lot of people have even heard about it, but it is a absolute kind of B-style 80s campy slasher type scream homage playing fucking great movie.
Yeah, it is.
And, of course, Allison Hannigan.
And then Allison Hannigan. Yeah, this is a fantastic. If you are a fan of slashers, and this is actually, like I said, this is a movie I don't want to spoil kills or anything like that.
No, because there's so many good things.
You need to see.
That's gonna be hard to tie. Yes, people do need to see this because this film was shockingly good. despite the fact that it got zero fanfare.
Hey, JL,
that there
I'd hate to say this.
Uh-huh.
You might be the killer.
I just might be. I think I might be. But I am uncertain. But yeah, shockingly good. Yet no fanfare whatsoever for this horror movie. I do not know why this thing popped up in my VOD, I think in early 2019. So I was like, what the heck? Allison Hannigan, Frank Kranz. The last time I saw Frank Kranz was A Cabin in the Woods. And of course, I loved him in Dollhouse. He was fantastic in that. And the last time I saw Allison Hannigan was How I Met Your Mother. So I was like, well, this is weird. A horror movie that got past me and just, should have popped up in my VOD one day. So I'd say, oh, fuck yeah, I'm going to watch it. Oh my God, this movie is so great. Why did nothing whatsoever? No marketing. It obviously didn't hit theaters.
No, I think I want to say they played
I heard nothing about it. Even I didn't even hear that the people behind it, because the film was produced. The studio behind it was Curmudgeon Films and Vital Signs Entertainment, which I'm familiar with. I never heard anything on their radar. Nothing came up on my radar that a movie that Allison Hannigan was doing a horror movie. I should have fucking known about that. Okay, I don't know. It literally showed up.
Yeah, Curmudgeon and all aboard. But it was, I think they played it on I want to say they played it on the Sci-Fi Channel. I want to say that might have been where I'd even heard of it. Could be totally wrong though.
Well, I do know it debuted at Fantastic Fest and then screened at Toronto and then played some other festivals. No, it wasn't Sci-Fi. It was Shudder.
Oh yeah, that's probably what it was. Sorry.
It was Shudder, then it was released on Blu-ray, DVD, and I think after it was on Shudder, it was on VOD, and then released DVD, Blu-ray in early February that year. And I caught it I was on the Microsoft store. That's where I saw it. That's where I used to rent most of my movies before I got Amazon. But yeah, it filmed in Louisiana. So, and I'm here in Texas. I'm actually in the industry. To it, not as hardcore as I was when I was in my 20s, but I'm still in the industry. I still get word about things. Didn't hear anything about this one. It was a relatively small cast, so there wasn't really any background stuff. Pretty much everybody in the film had a purpose in the film. It was just kind of like, wow. And I read that the film originated between Sam Sykes and Chuck Wendig, and they were on Twitter, where they'd been discussing pretty much slasher films and the different tropes of slasher films. They were just kind of in a back and forth banter between the two of them. And amidst this banter, the idea for a film developed, to be directed by Brett Simmons, and then Sykes and Wendig would be involved as producers. And boom, that's how they got the film started. Very similar to how Kevin Smith and them came up with Tusk. How they pretty much conjured the idea in a podcast. And they said, hey, everybody, tell us yes or no if you want us to make the movie. And of course, everybody said yes. Turn a guy into a walrus, fuck yeah. And then everybody said yes, and so now we have Tusk. Same thing. But they bickered back or they were going back and forth on Twitter, and then all of a sudden we got a fucking movie.
Sam and Chuck. The thing with Chuck is because they play those are the two characters in the movie. Chuck, played by Allison Hannigan, is supposed to be short for Charlotte, which, a nickname for females named Charlotte could be Charlie. And so Chuck, even the play on that character's name was fucking hilarious. I was like, Chuck, and then Charlotte, and then I was like, oh, Charlie, yeah, Chuck, okay.
And of course, it definitely stands out where you have everybody's names in that. Freddie, Jack Murillo was Freddie, Kat Bellamy was Drew. Drew Barrymore, Savannah DeArmo was Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street, and then Carol Jean Wells, Heather Langenkamp.
Jenna Harvey is
Peter
Jamie. Jamie Kennedy
from Scream.
Yeah.
So yeah, I dug that they pretty much snagged all the major names and brought them, which I thought was really really cool. But yeah, it is somewhat tongue in cheek, and it is a bit meta because throughout the entire course of the slasher film, the main character Frank Kranz is on the phone. Sam is on the phone to Chuck, getting advice on what the fuck he's supposed to do because she's the horror movie expert, and she works in a fucking video store, in a horror video store of all places, and she's obviously giving him all what he needs to know to figure out what the hell is going on to solve the mystery and figure out how to stop the killer, and. So it's meta in that way. It's definitely tongue-in-cheek. The writing is fantastic. casting was great, acting was fantastic, and I don't know why this thing slipped on my radar. And so I had to look into that, and I was shocked, and because this really kind of played out for me, or I finally understood it. I was finally able to grasp it. The politics. There are politics that go into ignoring good films.
Yeah.
Well, I say there is. It speaks to the industry.
Yeah, it's a shame because the people who run talking about the top guys, the top producers out there, aren't artists by any means. They're not creative people. They're business people. They're people with business degrees along that, and they do not care if a film is good or bad as long as it makes money. And they will tank other films if they believe that this secondary film will make money and all this other kind of stuff, which is a real shame because you get gems like this that they're good. This film should be all over the place. It should be something that everybody has seen, and then it gets swept under the rug.
And of course, you're talking about because a lot of analytics go into this, and a lot of, I would guess, risk analysis goes into determining what film is most likely to generate the best return. And so, even good films that may be smaller or smaller in scope may be tanked purposefully in order to free up merchandising or marketing for another film that may project to have a better return on investment.
Yeah, and so you'll get something where you'll have filmmakers put their heart and soul into a film, and then the studio will go, no, and they'll shelve it. Or
they just don't understand how good it is.
Because they don't understand, because there are people that are just, we want numbers, we want this. If it doesn't fit into the box that they're looking for, then it gets shelved. It gets released on bad times. So you get August release dates, January release dates, because we've all gone to theaters in August and January and then see a film that's actually good. And you're like, wait, what? This was better than I thought it was going to be, because the studio was like, nah, this probably won't be good.
So just silly. I hate when that happens. Of course, it is we've spoken at length about the politics of the film industry, and in something so in a genre, especially a horror genre, which is so driven by art. And the fact that the vast majority of horror films, the vast majority are going to be indie films. They're going to be typically lower budget, kind of like not top tier casting, unless it's a very, very odd, unless it's a script that they pulled directly off the blacklist, which is the legendary list of like unproduced scripts out there in Hollywood. Unless it's a script pulled off of that one, horror typically is not on it. Horror typically doesn't win awards. Be like major awards like Globes and Emmys and fucking Oscars. But unfortunately, it's also the first to take the hit. Because it's so art-driven, unfortunately, it's also usually the first to take the hit. That when a studio has a spate of films that they want to put out, and say they have 9 films, and 8 of those are like dramedies, typically they're either going to be dramas, they're going to be dramedies, they're going to be comedies. And then you got maybe 2, maybe 3 that are like fucking, one's a horror film, one's an action film, and one is this or like this. Then their big ones will be the ones they want to market to the best. So they'll actually, they can yank or they can limit funding to another project in order to ensure that they maximize their ROI, which is their return on investment of another particular film. And unfortunately, horror does usually take those first hits. They typically don't get the money that they need up front, so people are forced to be creative, just like, like Richard and Adam did on Hosts. You got to get really, really smart with your horror. And unfortunately, usually they kind of get left out in the cold when it comes to marketing. You don't see these things pop up in commercials unless it's a major thing. Like, obviously, we're going to hear all about Scream fucking 5. All right? Now, I'm happy to see Ghostface come back again, but, I don't know. It's so... I mean, the first one came out in fucking 96. So, I don't know. I mean, this is, almost 25 years? Yeah. 6...
Jesus Christ, 24 years.
Yeah, it's 25 years.
Yes. So it's kind of like, I mean, come on, guys, Scream 5. I mean, of course, then I just heard about, fucking Lethal Weapon 5. It's like, really?
Which is another thing, because I hear complaints all the time that Hollywood is out of ideas, another Marvel film, another this, another that. And I was like, I tell people all the time, there are original films that come out all the time. You've just never heard of them.
And that's unfortunate for us because we got to go looking for him. I tell you, I've watched some solid horror films that came out recently, that have come out recently, like The Cabin, like The Lodge. The Lodge came out recently. The Lodge was amazing. No fanfare whatsoever. I had to go looking for it. I think I caught it. I occasionally, like every couple of weeks, I will look up their video. Thankfully, we have intrepid YouTubers out there who will compile horror trailers, upcoming horror trailers. I watch those almost like every couple of weeks. I'll sit down and I'll just go through several of them to make sure I haven't missed anything, see if there's anything new coming out. And sometimes it'll be things like, damn, that should have come out by now, but it never did come out. Or maybe it did and we just didn't hear about it. And that's what we got to do in order to stay on top of this, because horror gets the short end of the stick, despite how rabid this fan base is on occasion. And I fucking love the horror community for this. I mean, few fan bases are as intense and as devoted as the horror community. It's not like you have a fucking comedy convention. You don't have comedy conventions. You don't have drama conventions. You have horror conventions, my friend. And the people that turn out at those motherfuckers, shit.
Yep.
Those are fans.
Yes.
And I love every one of them. From the zombie hordes that show up, to the people dressed up as Jason, to the bad Jasons, to the good Jasons. I don't give a fuck. I love the love that people have, that the fans have for this genre. And unfortunately, they get the short end of the stick every fucking year. Because I've seen some serious horror contenders that should have been up there. But of course, unless it's like directed by Steven Spielberg or James Cameron or something, whatever, they're not going to get the fanfare. I think, what was it? What was the last major horror film that you could say won awards?
I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head. It's been so long.
I think Get Out was nominated for Best Picture.
Okay, Get Out. But I mean, it was
other than that,
it was a psychological horror film, and I think it was only because, and I'm probably going to hate mail on this. The subject matter was topical.
No, I'll go and talk about it. It's a matter of kind of the race relations things.
Yes.
I have the card and I can go and talk about that.
It was topical. It was a topical subject. It came out at a very intense time and was really damning of white people in that. So it resonated. And because it was kind of a ballsy movie to put out there, Jordan Peele. Yeah, ballsy talking about the shit you experience every fucking day.
Want to know, I think the most recent one that won a major award was A Quiet Place.
Oh, yeah, well, Quiet Place won some of the technical awards, like sound design and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, that was, if we're talking most recent, but before that, yeah, Get Out, I think came out the year before that?
No, because Quiet Place came out 2016. I think Get Out came out 2017.
Quiet Place got an award in 2018 for Movie of the Year, actually. By the American Film Institute.
And it's a shame that it's like that, because horror can compete with any other genre. When you look at Toni Collette's performance in Hereditary, holy shit. Why the fuck why the fuck was she not nominated?
Okay, so I had to look them up, like Oscar-winning horror films. So, The Exorcist.
Yep.
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs is the last one, right?
The Omen.
As far as Best Picture.
Best Picture.
That one of Best Picture, yeah. So Silence of the Lambs, Get Out, Hereditary, Black Swan, Jaws, Misery, The Sixth Sense. And, so a lot of these are award winning. That they won things like like best adapted screenplays, or best sound design, or best like Sleepy Hollow won best production design, stuff like that. Or like Carrie won the award for best actress and best supporting actress. I think Piper Laurie won for best supporting in that one. But yeah, you don't see. I'm pretty sure Silence of the Lambs is the last one to win Best Picture.
Yeah, I think Silence of the Lambs is the last one, and I can't remember a film between Silence of the Lambs and Get Out that was even nominated for Best Picture.
I think Rosemary's Baby was nominated, but I think it only won for Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah,
I honestly don't. Honestly, they don't get the love. They really don't. The politics, hate, horror. Yeah, it should be an open field, but,
Yeah, well, then you get movies like this that slip through the cracks, and it really sucks.
But you know what? That also kind of makes it insular. It really does. It makes it kind of just for us. Just for the horror community. We're the ones that get to enjoy.
We get to spread it.
We get to
like herpes.
Yeah. Horror, the gift that keeps on giving.
You got the clap.
Oh, American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, that one I want to know.
Best makeup in it. Yeah. For the that was a good werewolf. I'm fucking Rick Baker, the man. That was Rick Baker, right? Or was that Sam Winston? Fuck.
Yes.
Too many names.
Both? Can it be both?
Yeah.
Was it both? Was it both? Was it?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I was just quoting Road to El Dorado.
Funny movie. Been a long time since I've seen it.
Anyways, this movie was fantastic. You guys should definitely go check it out. Called You Might Be the Killer. Let us know what you think about it. I want to know, before you go and watch it, be honest. Audience, have any of you seen this? Was this on anybody else's radar? Because honestly, because you said it was on Shudder, now I remember it popped up as a recommendation after I watched 1984, and yeah, I saw Allison Hannigan. I was like, yeah, we'll watch that. And then we watched another movie that was about these 3 teenage girls who invited some guys over to a party, and in a flip of movie genre-ness, they ended up drugging the guys. I don't know. I can't remember what it was. No, it's going to bother me. But anyways, this one. Has anybody seen this one? Let us know at weekendhorror@gmail.com.
I've got to answer this fucking question. Hang on a sec. It's going to bug me. There are certain things that I think I've committed to memory, and then it turns out that I haven't. So, yes, directed by John Lennon. Rick Baker. Ooh, I was correct. I hate second guessing myself. I really hate it. Oh, man. But yeah, that actually happened to be, and I just totally, I was looking it up, and that was, it won Best Makeup and Hair Effects, and that was the first year Best Makeup and Hair Effects was available as an award.
Awesome.
That was pretty slick.
What a movie to get.
Oh, man.
Jail.
I wish they get
Jail.
Yes.
We've got a Christmas month birthday, huh?
Yes, we do. We do have a birthday this first week of December, and one of my favorite horror legends, born December 4th, 1954. Happy birthday to the legendary Tony Todd.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. The Candyman himself. What can we say about Tony Todd?
What can we say that we haven't already? He's come up so many times.
He has. But his career kicked off in 1986 in the film Sleepwalk. He played Mr. Barrington, and then it was followed up very quickly. Sergeant Warren in Platoon. Sergeant Warren. But yeah, everything that I've seen him do. I think it was probably his turn in the 1990 remake of Night of the Living Dead, directed by Tom Savini.
Yep, that's the one
where he played Ben. Yes, where I think he really broke out to become the horror icon that he would become. And of course, he is Candyman.
You know what's ridiculous is how many freaking movies he's got in like pre and post production right now.
He has like 10,
I think he's got
15.
Oh, dude, and stuff called like Night Night and Hellblazers and the Lockdown Hauntings and the Oath Outbreak, and it's like, oh, these are gonna be good. And
so
it looks
cool.
like there's
I think it's also really neat.
No, that one's already. Candyman just came out, didn't it?
I don't know if it's come out yet.
You know what? It looks like it got pushed back to 2021.
I think it got delayed.
Yep,
yeah,
August 27, 2021. Oh shit, that's gonna be intense.
And then, of course, I love the fact that he's the current voice of Darkseid.
Yeah.
For the DC animated universe, I can't think of anyone better. There's been some good ones. I think
the Death and the Return of Superman, is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, and also the upcoming the Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. Yes. So I think he also has the voice of him in Reign of the Supermen as well. So I love the fact that he took over for it. I mean, pretty much everything is horror, which is amazing.
Oh,
so
it's the Debt Collector, Barbosa and the Debt Collector.
I love how like his demeanor is, and he's able to nail it. Because we've talked about it before, even in like the Final Destination series, where he's the good guy trying to explain things, and even the characters are like, You're kind of creepy.
He's just death. I mean, he's just death incarnate.
And of course, we can't forget, he was Kern in Star Trek: The Next Generation. He was Worf's brother.
Yes.
I want to say he played on an episode of the Orville too, as like a homage to.
He was the Mocklin delegate.
That's right. Yeah. I was like, I swear I saw him on there not too long ago.
I thought it was pretty cool. He showed up in season 3 of the TV series Scream.
Yes.
And his character had a hook for a hand. So we almost got a Candyman Ghostface showdown, which is pretty slick. I thought that was cool. But for all you video gamers out there, he is also the voice of Admiral Tommy Briggs in Call of Duty Black Ops 2.
That was one that I picked out. I wasn't even paying attention. I heard it and I snapped to the TV real quick and I was like, wait a second. It's
just an amazing actor who is still going strong. He's got video game work coming out. He's got Half-Life Alyx coming out, and he plays the voice of Vortigaunt in that one. And then, of course, still crushing it on TV. I think he was in, I think his last one was Leap of Faith, and he was on it was in the TV film The Oath, Outbreak. And then, of course, like you said, film-wise, oh my God, the guy is unstoppable.
He is. He's a beast. He's churning them out.
He's only 65. Oh, he's 66 years young. Oh, come on. He's got plenty of years left in him. We're gonna get plenty of Tony Todd.
Yeah, I'm
trying to think. There was a movie that I just saw him in where he played he was a military guy, like a general or something.
Well, a general. I don't know. I remember he played military in The Rock.
I love that quote where he's like with Nicolas Cage. He's like, ever listen to Elton John? I don't listen to that pussy ass shit.
I don't like soft ass shit. You know how this works? You know how this shit works?
Bro, I didn't realize that he was the voice in Dota 2.
I didn't know that either.
And Defense of the Ancients.
Dragon Knight, Night Stalker, and Viper.
Of the Dragon Knight. That's nice.
I had no idea.
That is badass. And then, of course, the new Candyman. The new Candyman coming out. I believe he has a smaller role in that one. What the hell? God, his filmography is like intimidating.
There's so much.
Okay, there we go. And Tales from the Hood 3, which just released. I saw that in VOD. I have not had a chance to watch it yet.
There's a third one? What?
There's a third one now. And a whole bunch of stuff. Bulletproof 2, Realm of Shadows, Stoker Hills, All Gone Wrong, Requiem. God, just amazing stuff. So I'm so glad he is still working. I hope to see so much more from him. I love his work, whatever he does. He does comedy. He does drama. Some of his dramatic roles are absolutely some of his best. I loved his turn in the X-Files when he played the soldier that had been through the experiment that took away his sleep.
Oh, man. It's been so long since I've watched the X-Files.
You always got to go back and watch the X-Files a couple of times. You just got to go back and kind of check back in with it. Yes, Augustus D. Cole in the episode Sleepless. That was absolutely a dramatic, vulnerable role. I mean, if you imagine someone like Tony Todd being vulnerable, it's really impressive. He's such a talented actor. And I love that he's in horror. I love that he's a horror staple, but I do wish he got more opportunities to go to that vulnerable side. To really showcase his real range, which is very, very impressive. So if you can, just definitely check out those ones. Get those opportunities to see Tony Todd kind of break away from the horror standard that he set. But he's a legend. He's an icon. We love him to death. So happy birthday, Tony!
Happy birthday, Tony!
Happy birthday, Tony!
And that closes out another episode of Week in Horror. Thank you all so much for listening, and we truly hope you enjoyed the show. As always, you can visit us at weekinhorror.net, where you can find links to all of our episodes, our bios, our merch store at Teespring, and of course, enter your email for a permanent entry to win Mystery Horror Shirt every month. For more horror entertainment, be sure to check us out at Facebook and Twitter. Followers get our daily splatter, a bit of horror info every day, right to your feed. You never know what you may discover about your favorite horror films. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel as well. We'll be switching to a live format soon for the podcast, and of course, we do giveaways on there. Subscribe to our channel for the latest from the show. And lastly, if you truly love what we do here and are able to support our production, you can through our PayPal and our Patreon. We have tiers as low as $1, bonus and exclusive content, and horror films every month. Links to everything, including our Discord community, where you can interact with us directly, are below. But we know that these are trying times and things are extremely tight. As always, simply liking and sharing this show to your local horror community is always the absolute best way to help us continue to grow. We appreciate each and every one of you for your continued listenership. I'm Alex.
I'm Eugene.
And I'm JL.
We'll see you next week, and as always, stay scared.